Good morning. My name is George Drakely. Are you all ready for a few questions?
Yeah, and good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. So which one of you goes by the name Success?
Good morning, sir. That's me.
That's you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I thought it might be. I I I was concerned about how to pronounce your name properly, and Success is easy for me to say. That's for sure.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah. So Xavier, I didn't see you on the video. I guess you had a conflict when it was being made.
Yeah, it was a small conflict.
Okay. Um, so I
But
guess for Fa, did you build the Sea Glider from a kit? Did you get a kit to build with?
Yeah, I kind of got like a starting kit to begin with that I had picked up from Mr. Stumple.
Okay. So you didn't have to order it. The school had them for you.
Yeah, yeah, the school had it for us, but when it came down to ordering, like, but if I was in need of replaceable materials or something like that, the school offered it for me, so I just had to let them know.
Okay. You talked about the sensors that you were going to build with. Were there other sensors you could have added? Were there other options?
Yeah, there were other options, but like there was like a heat sensor. Yeah, there was other options, but we decided to go the more easier route and the one we best knew, the one we had more knowledge on too, which was the temperature.
Temperature and pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so, Jai, on the brief you did, where did the questions come from that you were answering?
So the questions came from our teacher, Mr. Stemple. Basically, he provided just like a general outline for all the candidates to or not all the candidates, but for all the students to like base their presentation off of. And yeah, I decided to go with that and base because I mean the questions are pretty I'm gonna say informative. Like they talk about our experience and the creation of our sea glide. So, but towards the end, as far as like the personal experience, that was just something our group decided to implement um, because personal experiences are just like essential to I guess the overall success and knowing um, the fullness of the project.
Okay. So you, John, I'm going to ask you this question only because you talked about it in the video, but Team Gantt, is that hard to learn?
To be honest, it wasn't at first. It was pretty simple. I would say Mr. Stemple, he was a pretty good instructor when it came to Team Gantt and learning all the components and everything. Um, yeah, just overall, and then like it just became more useful like over time. Like as far as creating contingencies, creating timelines and assigning roles. It has made the project manager's job a little bit more simple overall. But and then we also took assessments to like assess our knowledge on Team Gantt to make sure we didn't have any problems. But if we did, Mr. Stemple was always free to help us out.
Okay. So I saw from the video that you all rotated roles. Was it the project manager was the only one who used Team Gantt? Is that correct?
Everybody had access to Team Gantt in the beginning, and throughout the entire project. So it was I'll say a collective experience with Team Gantt. And everybody took the assessment as well, so everyone was knowledgeable about the software in case like the project manager wasn't able to make a day or was feeling sick or something like that. The documentation manager can also like fill the role, or even the construction manager can fill the role and help the project manager run Team Gantt. So it was collective overall.
Okay. So what roles did you have during this project?
So I held the roles as the project manager and the documentation manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Xavier, what roles did you have in this?
I was the research manager and construction.
Okay. So did you find the kit easy to use when you started assembling?
I found it easy to use because he had everything like sorted in different bags on what like when you should need them and stuff. And whenever like a piece wasn't there or a piece was not in the kit, I had to let Mr. Stemple and Mr. Leslie know, and I go pick it up from the school.
Okay. Did you ever get together as a group to work in the same room or on the kit, or was everybody virtual?
I said everything was virtual.
So, who else was a construction manager just besides you?
Just me and Paul.
It was me, Fabian. I was also the construction manager and research manager.
Okay. So did you pass the kit back and forth or just transfer it once?
It was it was a one-time transfer. You know, once we reached a certain goal or point that we completed,
Okay.
I just transfer it on to the next person to give a fair chance to other teammates who wanted to be the construction manager.
Yeah. Okay. So, how far did you get in the construction?
I got all the way. The last task I had to complete was the Arduino board, which was, I would say, my favorite out of all of them because that one I needed to do more work on and everything, more precision when I had to solder the kit together and everything.
Mhm. Okay. So the school give you the soldering iron and the solder?
Yeah,
Okay. So were you construction manager first or second?
I was the first.
Okay. So Xavier, what was your favorite part of building and how far did you get?
I got to where you had to connect the buoyancy engine to the bottle cap. I say building the buoyancy engine was the best because everything else was like already done. So I had to build the buoyancy engine, and I say that was the best part because I had to like put everything together, like put the engine together. Felt like a real engineer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more fun building things than just taking something out and having somebody else do that work. So Success, what were your roles on the team?
So my roles were I was the documentation manager at the start. Then 2 weeks later, I was the team man. I was the documentation. Then I was the project manager 2 weeks later.
So how did you like working with Team Gantt?
I didn't really get to use it that much, but at the start, I had it was good because I had to document the team process. So basically, let's say we didn't hit like a timeline, I basically had to go in there and fix it, and so to alert Mr. Stemple. But Team Gantt, it's good. Like it's really good. Like It's organized basically. We were able to organize ourselves better and also keep Mr. Stemple involved. So I feel my process with Team Gantt was really fun.
Okay, so did I understand right that for documentation manager you used OneNote?
Yes, I used OneNote for at least 2 months. So basically every day I had to make like a slide and document everything we did that day, everyone that attended, what work we did, and basically our timeline. I also documented it in the OneNote.
So OneNote pretty easy to use also.
Yeah, I feel OneNote is easier than Team Gantt, but Team Gantt is more organized.
Okay. So do they work together software wise?
Nope.
No. Okay. So I guess any one of you can answer when did this project start and how long did you have? Jai, since I haven't asked you a question for a while, when did it start and how long?
1 second, I'm trying to remember. Because it all kind of went by a little fast, but I would say all right, so yeah.
Okay. Anybody help him out?
Yeah. You
guys want to take it?
Yeah.
At the beginning of March, right?
Yeah.
It started like officially.
The talk of the project started around January, and then actually completing the task was actually doing and following through with the task started out around like March or around February, March. Yeah.
Yeah, it was close to the end of
Exactly March 1st.
March
That's when the
1st.
project
Okay.
started.
Yeah.
And then we had about we had until May 14th to have a complete presentation and video. And yeah, so basically like Foz said, it was introduced around January, and then from I'm gonna say January to March, not January, February to March, we had that like grace period where we would basically try to become more familiar with OneNote, Team Gantt, and OnShape, and OneNote, and all of that. So yeah.
So which one of you used OnShape?
I mean, I would say we all had the opportunity to use OneShape, like to play around with it, see how we could use it and everything.
Okay.
But more specifically, it was the documentation managers, which was me and Success.
Okay. So Success, OneShape, was that also easy to use or?
I'm not gonna say easy, but Mr. Stemple, he basically went over it with us one time at class, and he also had videos recorded. So if I forgot something or I needed help and he wasn't accessible at that time, I was able to watch the videos and figure out what I was supposed to do.
Okay. So Xavier, how often did you all meet as a group for this project?
Not too often, but well, not in person. We never really met in person, but virtually we have like little group calls outside of the class time we had to discuss things whenever it was a problem or whenever we needed to get things done by the due date.
Okay. Who recorded the video? Which one of you recorded it?
Mr. Stemple recorded the video, but the participants were me, Foz, Success that spoke.
Yes, yeah, I saw your pictures in the video and stuff. So I guess you did it as a team meeting and Mr. Stemple recorded it. and
Yes.
Teams. Wow.
Yeah.
I've been using Teams in my job since August, and I didn't know you could make videos using it. So learned something new today.
Yeah.
Okay. So a question for each of you, and I'll start with Jahi. Is what was your favorite part of working on the Sea Glider?
I'll say this my favorite part, because although I didn't work like hands-on the Sea Glide, I'm gonna say just being the project manager was definitely my best part, because I was able to like showcase my leadership and also just uh, keep the team organized as a whole and just like help the progression of the construction. Although I didn't like play a role in actually building, I was able to like structure, I guess, how to build it, inform my teammates as well on how to build it, and just also communicating with Mr. Stemple and keeping him in the loop. So yeah, project manager was my best part.
Okay. Xavier, what was your favorite part?
Like I said, the buoyancy engine. It was like the more interactive part of the build that I had to do, and
Yeah, physically doing things is much more fun than virtually doing them
it's
less.
more better to be like interactive with it than watching it happen.
Okay. Ba?
Yeah, I would have to agree with Xavier on this one. I would say being the construction manager, because hands-on activities are just my thing, and you know, it felt good soldering again, just doing a hands-on project. And since it's been a while because of COVID and everything, it just, yeah, I would say that's my favorite part.
Okay. And success, your favorite part?
Oh, for me, it would have to be the documentation. I like project manager, but that wasn't like I didn't really feel involved, even though I still got my work done. But documentation manager, I was able to talk with my teammates, see how they were doing at their work parts, and let's say it wasn't during school, I was still able to access them and call them and be able to document stuff. Also inform Mr. Stemple if we needed something, and make just it was really fun just documenting stuff because that's something I actually love to do.
Hey, well, we need people like you in the industry, along with all of you as builders and designers.
Well,
Okay,
can I mention one more part about like what I like?
sure.
Actually the research. It was like more because you really had to like look into the different things about the project. So I like I'm a very curious person. So the research was like more so more like more my in the book.
I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just checking in.
Yeah, thanks. I just about ready to wrap up with the questioning.
Okay.
Am I the only one who's going to question this group, or is somebody else supposed to also?
Somebody else is supposed to also. I'm checking around to see where our judges are right now. So feel free to move on if you want to move on to another team. That'd be appreciated.
Yeah, well, I definitely need to. I'm supposed to get 3 teams done in an hour.
Okay.
And with this group for 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I can ask the teams to stick around if you need more time. That'd be fine.
No, I'm fine. I was just going to wrap up saying that working virtually like this because of COVID is very frustrating, but you have all learned a lot of useful skills with the software, things that we need in industry. I'm the vice president of engineering for a small maritime company, Trident. We make some systems that go on ships, and the skill set you got from this is going to be very useful. The use of the software and Teams. So hopefully you get to do some of the fun things too of physically touching the equipment and all. So with that, do you have any questions for me? That's fine. Were any of you on the robot teams? at McKinley? No. Okay, well, you all, good luck with the rest of your year and going on to college and engineering. Good luck with that. I'll be leaving now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good, thanks. So I liked your presentation. It was very easy to follow with the question format. So that was great. Gave me a lot of good detail about your project management strategies. So I loved hearing about that. A lot of people underestimate how much of a project is really just project management. So I loved that. But I do have a few questions for you. You talked a lot about how being friends before the project helped you with your role designation and making sure that everybody's strengths and weaknesses were used in deciding those roles. I'm just wondering if it ever became an issue, like if somebody wasn't doing part of their work or something, that it was kind of hard to call somebody out on that because of the friendships that were already there.
That's a pretty good question to start. But basically, I feel like our friendship and our connection and chemistry didn't really hinder us giving like constructive criticism to each other. I'm trying to think if there was an instant. I mean, there were times where there was some miscommunication, I guess, where people were supposed to have done something before a deadline. And but yeah, overall, we were able to decipher and talk amongst each other uh, to find a solution. And yeah, the fact that we were friends, it just kind of made it more easier because we knew how to approach each other, and in a respectable and like caring manner as well. So it was good.
That's great. I had a similar thing with my senior design in college where we were already friends, but then we made up a system to help us hold each other accountable so that it wasn't just relying on that friendship. But I'm glad to hear that you guys made it work. Looking at your presentation, I was a little curious about some of your more construction details. So what was the process of constructing the Sea Glide like for your team? Did you run into any hiccups? Did you have any challenges that you really had to overcome that were a struggle? Just if anybody wants to jump in.
Yes, this is Fall speaking. Yes, I would say that there was a few, bumps in the roads, like Jahi said, with communication issues and stuff like that. And also, like if a certain material was missing or something like that, then I would have to let them know and something like that. But other than that, there was nothing too major to say like, oh, we couldn't complete the project.
Well, that's good at least. I think you always run into a few hiccups here and there in a project. It's figuring out how to get past them. So. All right, and then looking at the project, have you completed it and is it working right now?
We have not completed our project. It's still in the progress. We did have a testing day, which I believe my team was not able to attend because of, I think it was lack of communication as well. But yeah, overall, our project is still in the process.
Got it. Yeah, sometimes projects, take a little longer than you anticipate. So we've all been there. But got it. So have you done, I realized, okay, so you couldn't make the testing day, but did you do any, testing throughout maybe of your Arduino or of, the seals on your bottle or anything like that to kind of make sure that things were working through the process, even if you weren't all the way done yet?
Not necessarily, I would say we tested, but we kind of did some research, that hands down to the research manager, we did some research on how to use the Arduino board and stuff like that, and
Right.
how it worked, basically coding and everything, and trying to be able to go through it.
Yeah. Awesome. And then looking at this, which sensor did you pick and how did you make that decision?
There was a list, and we chose with the one we went with the one that felt like we knew most about, which was temperature and pressure. You know, it, well, one is the basic of the sea glide, and then two is like it's the most easiest one we came across, and we felt like we could, you know, actually achieve to the best of our ability. You know.
So this is getting a little bit beyond the scope of your project, but thinking about it from an engineering perspective, what would be useful about that data for temperature and pressure in a real sea glide out in the ocean or something?
Out in the ocean, I would say that, you know, temperature, it would measure like, because the difference is that with bigger sea glides, it's like it goes farther deep underwater and everything, you know, so the temperature drops. So as you go down to like different levels and stuff, it would be like, oh, at 6 feet, 7 feet, here's the temperature it's at, and kind of gives you a basis of what it is. And then with pressure, you know, as you already know, like deeper you go underwater, more pressure there is. So I think the pressure would help with the pressure sensor helps with that also.
Yeah,
Can I?
definitely. Oh, add. Yes.
I said like it helped better with like the navigation. So like the sea glide could like not have a mind of its own, but like so it could be aware where it's at in the water, and so the people, whoever is controlling the sea glide, could know where it's at in the water.
Yeah,
And can I also
definitely.
add something? Sorry.
No,
This is
keep
just
going.
what's it called for the first question that you asked, like as far as what's like the temperature sensor and it being like used in the world of engineering. Definitely, I feel like global warming is also an issue, and if you have a sea glide, it can also measure the temperature of the water, and I guess provide also data to see like the increase or the decrease in water temperatures over time, and it could also like just pers- uh, protect the sea life as well because sea life they can't really live in the hot water, so that can also just give some insight on our oceanic information, stuff like that.
Yeah, perfect. So that's I'm currently working through NOAA, the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, which is part of the federal government, and that's exactly what they're using it for, is to track global warming. And our ocean is a huge sink for CO2, so it's absorbing that CO2 out of the atmosphere and it's warming up. And as you said, certain ecosystems need certain water temperatures, and so they're able to track that. They're able to track migratory species, and the project you're doing is very close to the real thing and is very important, actually. So feel good about that. Let's see, anything else that I wanted to ask about? Well, I guess my last question then is just what's one thing you're each going to take away from this project as you move forward into college and or your career or life?
I would say
Uh,
teamwork. I would say teamwork because we basically had to split up the work, and we basically had to take account for each of ourselves and make sure we don't bring the team down. Because if I didn't do my work, then my teammates they basically down behind, and they basically have to pick up my slack. So we all had to stay focused and make sure we did our part and help the team get a good grade.
Yeah. And thinking about the engineering profession as a whole, teamwork is always huge. Nobody works in a silo and everything gets checked multiple times by different people on the team to make sure it's safe. So,
I would say for me is finishing something before the deadline because like we, you know, our documentation manager and our group leader kept on pressuring us to, get the job done before this due date, get this task done, this task done. So it was like, we we had to get it done before the deadline. So,
great. Beating a deadline is always awesome. It's a good feeling too.
I'll say for me, a takeaway that I'll acquire from this project, I'm gonna say is to just like don't be afraid to get out your comfort zone. Definitely, I believe it was like my sophomore year of high school. I was looking at the in-person senior projects and stuff like that, and they were able to create their own projects and come up with their own solutions and challenges and whatnot. And we're here now in the virtual world, and we had to be assigned a Sea Glide that honestly I don't think anybody on our team knew much about. So it was definitely out of our comfort zone as far as trying to create this Sea Glide and like to the best of our ability. And I believe everybody pulled through at the end and like showcased their engineering skills. So um, yeah, my takeaway is don't be afraid to go out your comfort zone.
Definitely.
I say my takeaway was for one, I learned how to use sensors in different ways to make the Sea Glide work the way we wanted to. Um, and now going on in the future that you can't always have everything like in person now. You gotta learn how to utilize the technology you have to make things work. Like work what you got and keep your head up, things like that. Oh, and I learned about more about time management. Time management, time management, and organization was like a key thing with this project because everything was you can't really be there. All you can do is have things in place and keep working. That's all I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, no, those are all very relevant and great things to take away. I'm very impressed. I did not have access to engineering in high school, and I'm very disappointed about it, but I'm very impressed that all of you have already learned so much about engineering and so many skill sets, and it's really going to serve you well, hopefully, in college. So I will, in fairness, give you the opportunity to ask me questions if you'd like. So my background is civil and environmental engineering. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that if you have any. Otherwise, I'm done with my questions.
I'm also planning to major in civil engineering next fall when I go to college. So if anything,
Where are you headed? Do you know yet?
Lafayette College.
Oh, nice. Okay, I went to Bucknell, so also in a Pennsylvania school.
Um, so yeah, if anything, can you, I guess, like provide some insight on being a civil engineer or your experience throughout your career?
Yeah, I'd say stick with it. In college, it's a lot of your core curriculum at the beginning, so it's not necessarily getting into what you're actually going to be doing, and so it sometimes can be hard at the beginning because of that. But then once you get into your core classes of really getting into civil engineering, and civil is interesting in that it splits off into a bunch of subsets. So within civil is structural, transportation, water resources, environmental, geotechnical, construction management, and occasionally some other stuff too. That was the 6 that my school had. And so I prioritized environmental engineering. So I do more of like the water and wastewater treatment, but I still had to take classes in all of those. And I think that's really good because it gives you a really broad sense of an engineering discipline background. And so that was really cool. But I think hopefully Lafayette does that too and lets you kind of get that feeling for it early on to make that decision. But yeah, other than that, just, the skills you all talked about here are going to serve you so well. Every job application asks questions about teamwork, asks questions about problem solving, asks questions about a challenge you ran into. So, you've already got a leg up, and I'm sure your curriculums will incorporate more types of projects like this. So, and hopefully you'll get to do more of that design that you didn't get to do because of the virtual environment. So yeah, but
I got a question.
sure.
Um, you asked us how did like being virtual affect us or something that we pulled away. I wanted to ask, like, did you have to learn anything new, or how did like COVID affect you in the past year with your work?
Yeah, so I split my time now. Well, right now I'm actually doing a congressional fellowship, so I'm actually in Congress. So that's not really problematic because we're just remote. But when I was still in my engineering role, I split my time between computational modeling, so doing kind of the computer coding side of things, like what you probably did with the Arduino type. Um, and then I split my time with environmental sampling, so doing like microbial work on samples we would collect. And so it definitely put a halt to the environmental sampling for a while. We couldn't do much with that. But we pivoted, we transitioned, we had a bunch of samples frozen in our -80 deep freezer in our lab. And so we found ways to use those samples to still get at a lot of the same research questions we were looking at. So yeah, I think everybody can say how it affected them. And those of us doing work in more of a field lab based situation, it definitely got challenging at times, but there were ways to pivot and make things still work, just like you found out with your project. So
Okay. So you
yeah,
learn just like us.
yeah. Yeah, I think everybody had some struggles. I mean, my brother works in nuclear engineering, and obviously they still had to be going in because that's kind of an essential service. And so, but you know, even they had to do some cut back some things and do things a certain way differently. So it doesn't matter. Even if you were an essential field, you had to do something different. But
Okay.
all right. Well, I should probably go submit my forms, but thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you and hear your side of the story and hear about your project. And I wish you all the best in college and with your careers.
Okay.